Okay, we are in the fine art of retouching, and this section is called SkinStudy1. This is going to be the first skin study that we do. And the plan here is to actually retouch this image from start to finish. And as you can see, that this image isn't bad at all, but there are some minor fixes that we have to address. So we're going to take some inventory real fast. The skin obviously needs to be taken care of because, well, she's got some hair around the lip and of course some obvious blemishes and some moist spots or highlights over here. The background has a slight cast. It's got some hairs I want to get rid of because it's a little bit messy. The shape of the body seems fine, so I don't have to contour anything. There's a little bit of a curve area down here that kind of bugs me a little bit, so I'm going to address that. The first thing I'm going to do is what we talked about in the beginning of these tutorials in the imaging workflow. I'm going to set up my workflow. In my case, I hold Shift F1 and it runs an action. As you can plainly see, it runs everything. It creates a copy of the background, a cleanup layer, a blank overall curve, a noise layer, and my white check curve, which I talk about in detail in some earlier tutorials. So if you're not using this method, I highly suggest you look into it because it's a big time saver. And this is how I start. The way I'm going to start is I'm actually going to start probably adjusting the tonality of this image to kind of get an overall look of what I'm looking for toward the end of the process. So what I'll do is I go to the individual channels. I'm going to hold down the Option key and click on this black triangle. And when I do that, you'll see that this is the red channel. It shows a bright red box. As I move it to the right, it starts to show some of the pixels underneath. Those are the images and the shadows that'll be plugging up. So I want to just get it to where they just are visible. I want to do the same thing with the highlight. The highlights seem to be as high as they're going to go. There's a little bit of blowout over here and this highlight over here, but if I go any further to the left, hold on this key, it's going to start to blow out some of the skin, so I don't need to actually do anything more on the red channel other than take the center point and put it back to where the center was. I'm going to do the same thing with the green channel. Hold on the Option key, and as soon as I start to see, bingo, right around there. That's fine. And then the highlights, do the same thing. Now I don't mind over here because this is a specular highlight in a ring. Specular highlights like the ring here, maybe the lips, don't bother me if they blow out. But when skin blows out, we don't want that. Keep that in mind, please. Very important lesson. So I'll move this to the left. The speculars are showing up, and a little bit of the skin over here is starting to show up. So I'll move it back just a hair and make sure that the center point is in the center point. The blue channel, final channel, I do the same thing. Hold down the Option key, move it to the right about there. And the highlights. Here's my speculars, and here's the skin starting to pop up a little bit. And there we go, and the center point and the center point. Now I'll do the before and after. So it had some nice contrast. It didn't actually do too much. Let's see how it did with color. It actually slightly neutralized the background too, which is not a bad idea. So I got rid of some of the cast here. I'm still going to fix that cast because, as you can see, with the white check curve, there is a cast in here, a multiple color cast. So we're going to get rid of that. This is how I start. The next thing I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to clone all through here with by getting out all this hair, and then maybe fix this little area down here with a curve. So let's start with that.